Okay, Shorupan, so the question for the day is why don't you eat as much as a person should?
As much as a person should presupposes that there's some like common norm for how much someone should eat.
3 times a day is the common now? Right?
3 times isn't, that's like that's a well established norm. I guess the myth of this started like a year and a half back when I was in the UK, and I would get so upset when people said I'm going for lunch. Actually, it would go deeper. It goes back before that. Like, I despise when I'm having a meeting with someone and they ask to go eat. And it's not their fault, because back in the day, my meetings would be like 7 hours or something, right? And obviously, like, if you start a meeting at 10 a.m., let's say, 7 hours later is 4. That's 6 hours, so 5, and you're starving. But for me, when I start engaging with something, whether I'm working by myself or working with another person or working in a group or whatever it so may be, my body turns off the necessity. Definitely not the necessity, but the desire to eat. It starts to take away my hunger, and also my desire to sleep usually goes away. And so some form of adrenaline fluctuation takes part in my brain, and I'm like ready to just do that for like, could go more than 7 hours, 8 hours, 9 hours, 10. And I don't understand why everyone's not like that. And so I'm kind of like short-sighted and selfish there, because I just expect everyone to be the same way. So that's where the hatred came from. Some subconscious programming was done early on in my career, where I'm just like, yo, why are you guys always complaining about food? Whoever I was dealing with. And then when I got even more radical last year, I just started to make jokes whenever a normal employee, like someone who's doing like the most menial task would be like, I'm going for lunch, and I would crack jokes about them and I would make fun of them. Like, it's just so stupid if you think about it. But yeah, I started developing this habit where I would only eat once a day, which before anyone even responds, I know is not very healthy at all. Again, I blame it to just the sheer schedule, although that's not a sufficient justification. I think more of it has to do with the mental, like, willingness that I'm such a tough-minded person, or at least that's what I would like to convince myself, that I'm only able to eat once. But then also there's a genuine lack of interest. I'm not a food-oriented person. Like, even when I do eat, I eat like 4 things, irrespective of where I'm in the world. I'll eat like rice and chicken, mostly wherever I am. I'll eat potentially a shawarma, and I'm the type of person to, like, I just want quantity when I'm eating that one meal. I could care less how it's prepared. I could care less who made it or what type of, if you show me a menu, I'm going to get angry. Like, I don't want to see a menu. Like, what, I don't care about all these food. Give me like what the most simple food. And so really I eat like a child when I do eat. Like, I eat also very carnivorously, like with my hands. And so, yeah, I mean, it's like one of the psychosomatic tendencies that I've adopted over the years to modulate my insane ambition. That's the reason. It serves very effective, by the way.
Yeah, coming back to selection of food, I remember reading an article somewhere that Steve Jobs always used to wear black and blue.
Yep.
Black tee and blue jeans, and so it doesn't take time from his day to select the clothes he would wear.
Oh, of course. I mean, that's completely the case.
I think that's
the same thing. The same
ideology. You have
ideology.
4 options. You know what to get.
Oh yeah, decision-making paralysis. People spend so much of their life making decisions that are completely futile. You need to deduce all of the decisions you need to make in life, because your brain is like a very powerful computer. It's the most powerful computer that we've ever seen, but it still has processing limitations. It's like, just think about it as like a 32 gigabit RAM. Like, it's very powerful, but it's not infinite. It's not infinite processing. And so if you have a finite amount of processing power, and you're on a computer, just think about it, you're on your PC, you're running Adobe Illustrator, you're running like Xcode, you're running these huge applications that are just Skype, like just applications that are going to drain your RAM. Of course, when you need to open up an app that needs to be actually, you need it, like for productivity reasons, that's going to run slowly. And I equate most people's lives to that. They are running so many futile equations in their brain so that the processing power is consumed. And when it comes down to their work, which is the most productive format of their life, they run out of processing power. And let's look at the inverse of that. How many decisions can one adult make in a day that's actually quality decisions? Very few. And one of those shouldn't be, am I going to get lasagna or am I going to get, like fettuccine? Or I mean, these are just absurd if you think about it. You want to simplify these subhuman realities so you can focus on very high level things. And so absolutely, Steve Jobs said it, Zuckerberg wears the same thing every day. It's not just a new tech entrepreneur thing. Many religions have practiced simplicity, ascetic lifestyles for the purpose of asceticism. And so definitely, yeah, food is not a big deal. I also do believe, and from my research, which is not the most advanced in the subject of nutrition, I do believe people overeat. Like even the average human that thinks he's eating normally overeat. I don't think we need to consume as much food as we do. Now, I don't think it's one meal a day, but I don't think 3 full meals a day. I think that's that's a lot of calories. There's no way that your ancestors were eating that much. It would just be impossible. And you're very rich. Like most people in the world today are very rich when you look at it from a historical perspective. So we're eating the most that we've ever ate because we have so much time to eat as well. And so I'm quite skeptical about the idea that, you need to sit and just indulge in food. Now, one thing I'm not happy about is that the meals I do choose to eat is unhealthy. What I would really love if I was eating 2 very precise meals a day that are extraordinarily healthy, planned to the T. That would be the ideal version of myself, which I'm trying to rectify now. But yeah, you were saying something.
Yeah, don't you get bored eating the same 4 things in your menu all the time?
You would, I know why you would get bored. I get it, completely. I understand why people change their diet because food is one of the greatest creative manifestations in the world, right? It's such a beautiful thing to watch someone cook. And to eat is even more of a beautiful thing. But it's if you look at my Maslowian hierarchy of values, it's just not high. Okay. Do you get my point? I'm not, if it was high on my list, then I would be pissed. I'd only 4 things. I know people that can't eat 4 things for 2 days. They try more than 4 things in 2 days. But it's just, I reduced the craving to try and experiment with food to being very low on my list. I look at it as just a bodily function, using the bathroom. Or do you use the bathroom in so many different ways? Are you so intoxicated with what? And I don't want to be offensive. My dad's a chef. I don't want to be offensive to people that that's their life. They prioritize that. But for me, definitely not. And I don't get bored. Similarly to how I don't get bored not exploring places that I go to. That's never been a thing for me. I understand that this mind is finite. The life is finite in terms of time, and then mind processing is finite. And I want to focus that on things that I deem to be important. But, yeah.
So food is just just giving you power to work for the day.
I would prefer that I could take 1 pill per day. I know that there's some really interesting biotech startups working on this pill that would just cover all of your nutrition. That would be the greatest thing in the world. If you think about you have a laptop, what's its food?
Power.
Yeah, just the electricity, right? Yeah, so that's the effective state that you want to get to. You want to get to the place where you can consume energy, food, water, air, oxygen, obviously, these type of things. But it shouldn't be something that you don't get your laptop or you don't get so impressed when you plug it in, right? It becomes, it's just a part of its functionality. I mean, I'm not taking anything away from the idea of eating together and having a good time and having a meal and building camaraderie that way. There's definitely a place and time for that. But maybe I'll put it like this. When I'm incapable of thinking because my cognitive dissonance has faded, so when you get old and you start losing your sharpness, I'll spend more time eating.
I don't know why they been lying, but your shit is not that inspiring. Bank account statement just look like I'm ready for early retirement.